Welcome to the conversation. As you may know by now, Poppy Playtime has kind of consumed a lot of my waking moments. The first chapter of the game, though short in length, left a ton of questions unanswered, and left me scratching my head at theories about the company, the toys, the make-a-friend machine, just about everything. The most intriguing character in the first chapter is Poppy herself. Her name is in the title, but we only see her in the trailers and at the very end of chapter 1. That doesn't mean we can't look into some lore around her, because there is a lot I pulled out of this chapter. Let's break some of this down and discuss some theories I have about Poppy herself. Before we get started, just a heads up, this video will contain spoilers from the first chapter. You've been warned. The name. Poppy is named after the poppy flower because of her bright red hair, according to a commercial for the doll. Seems harmless enough. But let's take a look at the poppy flower, shall we? Poppies are bright red flowers with black seeds in the center. There are other colored flowers of the same family, but the ones referenced by the doll's name is probably the species Papaver somniferum, which translates as sleep-bringing poppy. This plant is also known for its source of opium, a narcotic drug used in medicine, specifically to produce morphine and recreational drugs. Opium has been used since ancient times to produce painkillers or sedatives for more extensive medical treatments. Poppies have a long history of being connected with death and the long sleep. In Greek and Roman mythology, poppies were used as offerings to the dead, and an emblem of this flower can be found on tombstones. Even in pop culture, we see them used to signify sleeping forever, as seen in The Wizard of Oz. The poppy flower is also used to symbolize those fallen in battle, all across the globe, thanks to a famous poem written in World War I called In Flanders Field. The poem includes a few lines regarding poppies in a field where soldiers fought and died, but I found this particular piece interesting. To you from failing hands we throw, a torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. This may have been a coincidence, but the idea of poppies being connected to unrestful souls who died tragically, I just couldn't avoid the connection. The smell of poppy flowers is described as citrusy and sweet, but the idea that the seeds of the plant can cause drowsiness, paralysis, and death make the idea of inhaling the scent, though harmless on its own, still seem like a strange thing to put on the hair of a doll designed for children. I mean, there are other red-colored flowers you could have used. Like, why not use the name Rose and have the hair smell like roses? Now that we have the name explained, let's take a look at the rest of Poppy from the outside. The look. The second, or maybe the first thing we notice, other than the shocking red hair on her head, is her large, overly sized, extremely realistic eyes. I mean, look at these suckers. Not only are they too large for her head, making her appear less like a real little girl, but they are also bright blue and have a ton of detail in the irises. That's the colored part of the eye. They appear to be made of glass that keeps its shine, appearing almost wet like an actual eye. In the commercial, though a focal point of the face and a little unsettling, the eye doesn't seem to point to anything nefarious about Poppy. However, when we look at the first trailer for the game, we see the eyes slightly shaking in their sockets, as if they were struggling to move on their own, or look at the person filming her. We also see redness on the edges, as if they were bloodshot from stress or the inability to blink. This terrifying thought of the doll in discomfort or its inability to move will be discussed in a later part of the video. Before we do that, let's look at the rest of Poppy. The doll has porcelain skin, quite common for dolls made in the 1960s, with soft pink cheeks, freckles, and a small smile slightly opened, probably to accommodate the idea that she is speaking when her string is pulled. More on that in a second. Poppy wears a blue and white dress with a bow on the top and ribbons on her skirt, and a pair of shiny black shoes. She is described as always wanting to look her best, just like a real girl. I think we know where that's going, but we'll touch on that in a moment. Speaking of being a real girl, the voice. The thing that set Poppy apart from all other dolls being produced at this time is the ability for her to have real conversations with the children that play with her. Pulling the string on her back produces a response to the child, not a set of recorded lines kept in the voice box within the doll.
I'm a real girl, just like you.
Terrifying, I know. The implication that this leads us to is proven by a clip from an unreleased maintenance video about taking care of the doll. It shows how to shine her shoes, brush her hair, and, well, apparently how to remove a blood-covered voice box from the back of the doll with pliers that look like they were used in human surgery. Yeah, wholesome. My theories. Let's start with a short little theory I have about the giant flower that we walk through to find Poppy herself in a glass case. I think the symbolism for walking through the center of a giant poppy flower signifies that we are walking through, into, or perhaps pass by death in order to get to her. This could indicate that Poppy, and perhaps the other toys made by the company as well, were made thanks to the death of humans. I'm going to cover the theory when I discuss the Make-A-Friend machine in more detail, for I think, like the ink machine and Bendy and the Ink Machine, the Make-A-Friend machine is the link to bring toys to life. For now, let's discuss my theory about Poppy, and particularly the doll we meet at the end of Chapter 1. Who is Poppy? I have two theories about whose soul or body parts, who made the first Poppy doll come to life and speak in full conversations. I think she may be the daughter of the creator of the Make-A-Friend machine, Elliot Ludwig. My theory is that she was sick or dead, and he made the machine to bring her back to life. This is not an uncommon trope. The loss of a child is impossible for anyone to overcome. I can see a grieving father try to make a machine that would bring his deceased daughter back to life so he could talk to her again. Remember the voice box?
I'm a real girl, just like you.
When she came out of the machine, she was just a toy, not remembering who she was, or not acting like his daughter at all. So he, or perhaps a partner of his, a more business-oriented person, like, say, the head of innovation, Leith Pierre, decided that they could make realistic toys to help other children using this new machine. Elliot kept the first doll in a playroom to keep her happy and safe, as one would a child that they adored, and always close by, as it was in the factory where Elliot worked. Another theory I have is that the creator's daughter was very ill and could not have company or other kids around to play with her due to a disease. She was stuck inside a house all day with no one to talk to. All the dolls she had would just say the same lines over and over again. So to give her a friend she could have a whole conversation with, Elliot Ludwig made the Make-A-Friend machine to make her a doll that she could talk to at any cost. And the cost was a human life. Perhaps part of the actual body, or the soul being removed and put into the doll by the machine. Remember, the Make-A-Friend machine can make any toy if it is fed the right parts. And perhaps one of those parts is a human being. Let's move on to a few theories I have about this new being we call Poppy, the doll we find in the glass case that we let out at the end of Chapter 1. I no longer think this being is human or has the memories of its past self, but I think it knows what it is, how it was made, and what happened to the employees in the factory. There's a chance that she sent the letter to the main character in order to bring them to the factory, knowing full well what happened. Was it to save those stuck in the toys? Perhaps to burn the factory down to end everyone's suffering? Maybe she just wants someone to know what happened at Playtime Co. and see what the innovation team was truly trying to do. Or perhaps Poppy, in her long, potentially agonizing 30 to 40-year existence, has become jaded and wishes to continue tormenting others and has already gone through all of the employees that disappeared. I also believe that Poppy is the one that speaks to us if we are caught and hurt by Huggy. She says things like, "I need you alive," and "get up." It's clear she needs us for something, but who knows what at this point. My last theory I have about Poppy is that she had something to do with the creation of the monstrous version of Huggy that we escaped from through the conveyor belt system in the factory. Poppy, being designed in 1960, was no longer relevant with kids in the 1980s. Huggy was extremely popular, and the company was going to, or had already started, making a pink version of him as well, bringing with it an influx in sales and profit. Who wouldn't want a soft, fuzzy pal who could hug you forever? Even in the factory, we see that most of the walls and posters had characters on them other than Poppy. And nowhere in the gift shop is there a Poppy box waiting to go home with some child. Sure, Poppy is still seen around here and there for nostalgia's sake, kind of like a certain animated mouse, but the popular toys like Boogie Bot and even that disgusting Candy Cat were more popular than she was. The Poppy we meet in the glass box, the first and potentially only one of her kind, may have seen her popularity dying out and decided it was time to make the factory pay by messing up the experiments that the company was doing on creating a living, breathing Huggy. I'll cover this theory in a different video, when we discuss Huggy Wuggy himself. For now, I'll leave you with this last theory, that Poppy is, indeed, a vengeful little demon that potentially caused the downfall of the company and the disappearance of the employees. Well, that was a long one. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. I'm looking forward to the other chapters to find out more about Poppy and what really went on in the factory. If you liked this video, hit that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notifications. I still got a few more videos to make about the first chapter of Poppy Playtime that I would like to hear your opinions about. My favorite thing about games like this one is the potential to have conversations about theories and looking at the lore from different perspectives. I would love to read your theories about the game in the comments below. Did you see something I didn't? Did you have different opinions on the meaning of the evidence I provided? Pop into the comments so we can have a discussion. And hey, maybe I'll have my mind changed and eyes opened to new theories. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.